Hey, Laura, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, you're welcome. Good to be here.
So, yeah, I just want to introduce you to the audience here. You are Dr. Laura. You are a certified heroic performance coach and an international wellness speaker. You speak on wellness and balance and a whole bunch of other things. So, what I wanted to pick your brain about today is the topic of oscillation. Number one, what is it? And number two, for the audience here who are mostly healthcare professionals or digital entrepreneurs, why does that matter?
This is one of my favorite topics, and I was first introduced to this topic in my heroic performance coaching, which is where my certificate over there is optimized. It changed to heroic, but it was during a luminary session where they bring in guests, and it was Pilar Gerasimo. She's the author of The Healthy Deviant, and she talked about these ultradian rhythms. And it just really piqued my interest because she basically said that you can actually use these rhythms to boost your energy,
Hmm.
productivity, and even your willpower. And this was a big topic for me because being in healthcare, I remember at the end of the day being absolutely exhausted and then having to go to, job number two, picking up the kids, taking them to activities, doing dinner, doing baths, all that stuff, and just having no energy for it. So I thought if there was something that I could do during the day that could let me walk away when I left the clinic with energy, let's figure out what that is. And so I was just fascinated by this ultradian rhythm. And, some people have heard of the circadian rhythm, but ultradian rhythms are shorter. They happen many times during the day. Roughly every 90 to 120 minutes, you have one of these rhythms. And so it's just really fascinating to think that we can work with them to create more energy in our life.
Is it something like you set a timer, or how do you like intentionally incorporate this, into your practice? I mean, many of us get like, I don't know, there's a whole topic about flow, but you get onto a task and then you're putting out fires and suddenly you've been sitting there for 3 hours. How do you intentionally make this change?
Yeah. I think the first way to do that would be to set a timer because most of us, as high achievers, we are used to pushing through from the minute we get up to the minute we fall into bed and put our head on the pillow. We just go, go, go. And so, our bodies actually send us signals every 90 to 120 minutes.
Hmm.
And, as high achievers, we ignore those signals. They're the typical things like you might start to yawn, you might start to feel a little bit hungry or irritable. You may have a feeling of brain fog or not being able to concentrate as well. These are all little signals from your body that, oh, it's time to take a break. But we push right through them. And the thing that happens when we push through them is it actually causes this phenomenon called endurance stress. And so there's all sorts of kinds of stress out there. There's also endurance stress. And that can lead to not just lower productivity, but things like lower eye hand coordination,
Hmm.
the inability to reason or be compassionate. It can lead to chronic fatigue and even depression.
Oh, interesting. I know a concept that's been bandied about for a long time is the Pomodoro technique, and I've seen a lot of these little digital timers that people are suggesting like 20 minutes and then take a break. But I think there's a concept of like a attention residue or the myth of multitasking. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that is. I definitely believe in the myth of multitasking and attention residue. But I also think that if we're not giving our brains that chance to recharge or repair or even digest all of that information that we just made it either take in or output, and that we're just going to, as the day goes on, find ourselves getting less and less effective. And so I think the important thing here to recognize is what type of break you take.
Hmm.
And so, depending on what you're doing, if you're, for instance, if you've been sitting for a long time, it might be good to get up and move. That might be what you need. If you're doing something with tech and, high visual acuity, it might be good to take a break from all tech. Like a lot of people get on their phone and mindlessly scroll as a
Hmm.
break. And that's
Right.
actually not giving your brain a break. So no tech, and actually not giving your brain a break. So no tech, and then maybe looking out far. So you're not looking focused in a small area, looking outside the window at the horizon, getting outside, that type of thing. Highly concentrated activities versus something that's not so highly concentrated. Maybe you need to take out the trash, or, make a quick snack or something that, you can even do like a random act of kindness for somebody. That's a
Mm.
wonderful way to take
That's
non.
very powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. One of my coaches suggested setting like an intention, like take your break and set an intention for the next session, and then kind of come back to things, sort of recharge. So, I thank you for sharing this with us. A very simple technique and task to keep us all energized and focused and on task, because we're entrepreneurs and we like to push hard. But I think, as you mentioned, it's important to honor yourself and recover and recharge.
Yeah. And you'll end up being more productive and more effective anyway. So I guess it's a win-win for everyone.
Awesome. Thanks for your time.
You're
Cheers.
welcome. Cheers.